Hi again. So this is the information about those of you writing the essay for the plot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up on my screen the plot pyramid. And you can see in this picture, this is actually going to be our very first assignment, our first notes that we're going to do together. You will be making one of these and have it in your notebook. This probably looks familiar to you. I think they do something very similar starting in fourth grade, maybe even earlier. Maybe second grade starts talking about plot, where we have the beginning, middle, end, and we go in this pyramid format. So there are 5 parts that we're going to talk about that you need to outline in your essay. So you have the exposition, and that is the beginning of the story. It introduces your characters, setting, and conflict. You might want to introduce that briefly in your introductory paragraph. You know, you introduce the novel that you read, and you talk about the main characters, where the story takes place, and what the main problem is. Then you get into the rising action. And even though this box is pretty small, this is the biggest part of your book. The majority of your book is rising action. Depending on the novel, sometimes it starts in the second chapter. Usually though, it's like the 5th or 6th when we get to middle level books. So sometimes if you have a slow start to your book, you got to give it a chance because you haven't gotten to the rising action yet. So the rising action are all of the events that build on top of each other to reach the climax. They usually involve a bunch of little mini problems, mini crises that continue to occur throughout the book, problems your main character faces, things that they have to try to overcome. And then we get to the top of the pyramid and we have the climax. This is our highest point of interest. It's also considered to be the turning point. So it's the point where, all right, we had all of these problems and then this main exciting event changes everything for our main character, and all of a sudden we can start to work towards the resolution. The falling action, if you don't really write a lot about that, it's okay. A lot of times the falling action and resolution kind of go together. So even though this falling action box is the same size as our rising action, it's really very short. It's any events that lead to the resolution. And the resolution would be when all the problems are wrapped up. How are the problems solved? And most books will have your problems solved by the end of the book. Once in a while, you might be on a cliffhanger, you might be reading a series, and you might be left wondering some questions, and that's okay. Just make sure that you include that. And that resolution may or may not be included in the conclusion of your essay. So you want to determine, how do I want to introduce this book? Or do I want to do an introductory paragraph and then have a body paragraph about the exposition, a body paragraph about the rising action, and then maybe a body paragraph about climax and resolution. It's kind of, that might be almost too much depending on your book. So outline it beforehand. Decide how you want to do it. Is my exposition going to go in the introduction and the resolution's going to go in the conclusion? Maybe you have 2 whole paragraphs on rising action because there's so much to it, and then a paragraph on climax. Either way, when you write the essay, this is pretty much like writing a summary. I just want you to touch on the plot events and maybe picking out what those names are. So the events should be presented in the order they occur in the book. Okay, I guess that's all I have for this particular essay. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. Have a great day.